In the time it took you to click on this video, Americans spent $4 million, not because they needed something, but because someone spent decades learning how to make them feel like they did. It started long before any of us realized. In 1928, an American journalist named Robert Quillen wrote a sentence that would define the next 100 years of human behavior. We buy things we don't need, with money we don't have, to impress people we don't like. He wrote that before television, before algorithms, before the internet, before companies learned how to study your attention, your habits, even your impulses. This is the story of how they got inside your head and how they've been there longer than you think. The Industrial Revolution created a problem nobody expected. Factories became so efficient, they started producing more than people could buy. For the first time in history, the question wasn't, can we make enough? The question was, how do we make people want it? And right at that moment, a new science was emerging. Psychology, the study of why people do, what they fear, what they desire, and most importantly, what they'll do without ever knowing why. In the 1920s, a man named Edward Bernays, the nephew of Sigmund Freud, had an idea. If you could tap into unconscious desires, you didn't need to convince people of anything. People don't spend money for logical reasons. They spend it for emotional ones. And the moment they understood that, the game changed forever. Take two pairs of sneakers, same factory, same materials, same construction. Remove the logos, they're identical, but put the logos back, and people will die defending their choice, because they're not buying a shoe anymore. They're buying a version of themselves. Nike tells you, you never give up, you have a winner's mentality. Adidas tells you, you're from the streets, you're part of a culture. This goes back further than you think. Coca-Cola has been doing this since the 1880s. They never sold you a drink. They sold you the feeling of family, of celebration, of a moment worth remembering. And the next time you stand in front of that fridge, your brain doesn't think about sugar content. It reaches for the feeling, even something as basic as deodorant. Most brands tell you, use this and you'll be confident, you'll be powerful, women will notice. Then Old Spice walked in and said, we know this is ridiculous. We're just having fun. Use our deodorant if you want to be different. Same product. Two completely different identities. And once a brand owns your identity, you don't just buy their product, you defend it. You've walked into McDonald's hundreds of times without asking one question. Why is everything red? Because decades of research found something simple. Red stimulates appetite. Coca-Cola, KFC, Burger King, Heinz, Budweiser. Every major brand on the planet reached the same conclusion. Color doesn't just catch your eye, it tells you how to feel. Now look at this watch. Look at the time. Every watch in every ad is set to 10 past 10. Not because that's when the photo was taken. Because at 10 past 10, the hands form a smile. And your brain reacts to that smile before you even realize it. Music does the same thing. In restaurants, when classical music plays, people order more expensive wine. Not because they suddenly developed taste, because the music told their brain, you are the kind of person who orders the good bottle. Supermarkets don't give you big carts by accident. The bigger the cart, the more empty space you feel obligated to fill. Now think about the last time you were in IKEA. You went in for one thing. You left with 7 things you didn't know you needed an hour ago. That's not a coincidence. That's architecture. IKEA designs their stores with a single path. One that winds through every department in a specific order. The further you walk, the more time you feel you've already invested. So you might as well look at one more thing. And looking becomes wanting. You thought you were making choices, but you were following a path someone else designed. You go to the cinema. You want popcorn, small is $4, medium is $6.50, large is $7. You didn't come here to buy large popcorn, but suddenly, medium feels stupid. That's not a pricing mistake. That's the entire point. The medium exists for one reason only: to make the large look like a deal. This is called decoy pricing. And once you see it, you will see it everywhere. Coffee shops, subscription plans, internet services. There's always a middle option that exists not to be chosen, but to push you toward the most expensive one. And it works in the other direction too. Put a $1,200 jacket right next to a $400 one. The $400 jacket didn't change, but standing next to $1,200, it feels like a bargain. You didn't find a deal, you were given a reference point. This is called anchoring. Your brain doesn't evaluate price in isolation. It evaluates price relative to whatever it sees first. That's why the most expensive item is almost always the first thing you see when you walk in. Not because they expect you to buy it, because they need you to see it first, so that everything after it feels like a bargain. Everything you just heard has been used for over 100 years. Color, music, layout, pricing tricks. But then something happened that changed the scale of all of it entirely. The internet didn't just give companies a new place to advertise. It gave them something they had been dreaming about since the 1900s. A complete picture of exactly who you are. Before the internet, a company could put an ad on television and hope the right person was watching. Now, they can find that one specific person and show them a message designed for only them. Imagine you just opened a fishing shop in a small town. The shop down the road has been there for 30 years. You don't stand a chance, unless you post a photo of yourself holding your best rod, wearing a Metallica t-shirt, and you target the ad to show only to people within 10 kilometers who love fishing and love Metallica. Maybe there's only one person like that in your entire town. But when he sees that ad, he doesn't see a shop. He sees himself. Same rod, different shirt. 8 billion people on the planet. 8 billion different versions of that ad. And once they've found you, they measure exactly how many times you need to see something before you buy it. 3 times? 5? 7? They test it. They find the number. And they show you that ad exactly that many times. Instead of spending money to show an ad once to 1,000 people, they may show it 5 times to 200 people, and that would be a lot more effective. That is remarketing, and every brand you've bought from has used it on you. But the most elegant trap is the one you downloaded yourself. McDonald's, Starbucks, Wendy's. Every major chain now has an app. The app gives you points, rewards, free things. It feels generous. Every time you open it, they record where you are, what time it is, what you ordered last time you were sad, what you order when you're celebrating, and they use that to reach you at exactly the right moment, with exactly the right message. The points are not a reward, they are a leash. Everything we've covered so far, all of it combined, doesn't come close to the most powerful weapon ever built. For almost all of human history, you compared yourself to people you actually knew, your neighbors, your colleagues, your family, people who earned roughly what you earned. Now you compare yourself to people on social media who have been professionally curated to make you feel behind. An entire genre of content, hustle culture, exists for one purpose: to make you feel like you're losing a race you never agreed to run. Car dealerships now report customers spending up to 70% of their monthly income on a single car repayment. People taking loans, sometimes from lenders who operate outside the law, for phones, watches, cars. People you would never suspect, because every single day, a voice on their screen tells them everyone around you is succeeding. What's your excuse? It's not about the car. It's not about the phone. It's about a feeling that has existed since the first humans lived in groups together. The terror of being left behind. And someone built $1 trillion industry on that terror. So what do you actually do with all of this? The engineers who built these systems are not villains. They were solving problems. They were doing their jobs. But the machine they built does not have your interests at heart. And there are things you can do right now to start living outside it. The first is the hardest, Because it requires you to do nothing. You want something you didn't plan to buy. Something small? Wait 24 hours. Something big? A car? A phone? Anything that will hurt your account. Wait 2 full weeks. If you still want it after that time, you probably actually need it. If you forgot it existed, they manufactured that desire for you. The second, pay with cash whenever you can. Not because cash is special, because handing over physical money activates a pain response in your brain that tapping a card never does. The third one sounds too simple to work. One spreadsheet, every purchase, no exceptions. Do it for 60 days. You will see a stranger's spending habits, and then you will realize it's yours, not because you were careless, because no one had ever made you look. And the last one is the most important. Separate your identity from what you own. You will not be a better person with the BMW. You will not be worse without the Rolex. And if you're buying things not for yourself, but for the people around you, change the people around you. The system is vast. It is old. It is extraordinarily well-funded. And it will keep running whether you understand it or not. Every technique in this video, every single one of them only works if you don't know it's happening.